Greetings, sailors, and welcome back to U-Boat. And this is the big one-ish. We're going to attack Scapa Flo. I don't know if there's going to be any similar missions after this that are like, go to this naval base and attack things, because there are various missions in-game that are based on, real-life stuff that happened, but the only other kind of big event things that I can think of, there was various Italian frogmen attacks, including the famous one at Alexandria, and there were things involving midget subs, but I don't know if there were any other particular operations. There might be one involving, for instance, the Operation Rheinübung, the dash through the channel. Maybe we'll get tasked with escorting those battleships. Who knows? But otherwise I guess we'll see what pops up. But for early war stuff, certainly, I can't think what else there might be. Anyway, let's get underway. We're going to head towards Scapa Flo, which of course is the Orkney Islands. One of the most important naval bases during this era, and as we've done naval recon, we already know where the actual defences are. So the western and southern approaches are mined, and then the eastern approach has got nets to look out for. So we'll probably be going in via that way. I'm basically looking for a capital ship to take out. Right, so we are in the vicinity, but it is coming up on daylight, so I think what I'm going to do is basically wait out the daylight hours and just crawl along at periscope depth until it gets dark again. So rather than sit here and try and fill that whole time, I think we'll just skip ahead once again, because it won't be very interesting to watch unless we get caught, in which case things might suddenly become very interesting indeed. As you can see, the sun is just going down, so we're going to surface for a little while, basically just to refresh our oxygen, top up the batteries a little bit. We're not going to hang around on the surface too long, though, just to minimise the risk of being spotted by some kind of patrol. We're only 20 kilometres out from the Eastern Passage now, so these are not safe waters in which to be a U-boat, so we really do want to minimise the amount of time I am hanging around on the surface. Another possible factor is going to be discipline at the moment, because it's been a couple of missions since I've given them any shore leave. Crew fatigue is starting to climb heavily, and even with various things countering it, once we get actually into battle conditions, once the alarm is sounded, that fatigue level is going to start seriously impacting discipline. So we may have to resort to punching crew members to knock them out, which is one of the ways to deal with somebody that's having a panic when you don't want them to, which can be especially a problem if you're trying to keep very, very quiet because somebody's wanting to drop depth charges on you. Anyway, we will probably not fully refresh the battery, but it's less than an hour, so we might risk it. We'll at least get most of the way with the battery and make sure that we are in as good a position as we can be. Because it'll be night time as well, we might actually get the opportunity to surface once we're inside Scapa Flo, but we'll have to be very careful about it. The sub that sank Royal Oak, at least some of the attacks were on the surface, because it's quite a large natural harbour, so they were able to utilise the nighttime conditions that they found themselves in and actually do some surface attacks. I think they actually had to, I'm using the word actually a lot, aren't I, actually? I think they had to make, if I remember correctly, 2 attack runs at Royal Oak before they managed to finally sink it. And at least part of the issues with just the the sheer loss of life on Royal Oak was the fact that they didn't quite realise what was going on. They didn't register that a U-boat could have snuck in and was firing torpedoes willy-nilly all over the place. So, yeah, we'll see if the AI is quite as complacent, but I don't think it will be. I think the AI might be a little more switched on to what's happening. Okay, so we're nearly at the defence perimeter. We're at periscope depth. I've got red lighting on just to increase our sight radius a bit, although maybe blue would be better. But I think up until the point we actually attack, air reserves aren't going to be a problem quite so much. I guess we'll see. The hydrophone's also not going to be particularly useful for stationary ships. There might be various MTBs patrolling the place, but yeah. The other worry is we don't have a lot of depth underneath us. We can actually see the seabed, so we can't hit 8 meters. This is probably the biggest risk. We can't just go deep and wait it out. So yeah, let's see if we. It's pretty murky. They actually changed the underwater visibility so that things are kind of generally a bit murkier and harder to see, which is particularly impactful if you're going into minefields or trying to see submarine nets. So hopefully we're going through a nice gap in the middle of the channel here, and we don't seem to have encountered any patrolling planes or anything so far. So let's hope that luck continues. Crew fatigue is kind of balanced at the moment. We're not at alert, so we do have things like officers playing cards. But discipline's now down. It was what, 79? It's now down to 72. That's not so good. But yeah, we're doing okay so far. 8 hours of oxygen, about 8 hours of battery. We are running at max underwater speed at the moment, which is not particularly fast, 7 knots, but I want to get past the perimeter ASAP, and yeah, then we're just got to find something to sink, basically. So fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Okay, oh, that's not good. We actually did collide with a net there. I fast forwarded very briefly, and that was enough time to bump into a net, which forced us to the surface, but I don't think anybody spotted us. I don't think it did any damage. So yeah, that's going to be possibly an issue on the way out. So that middle channel bit, like, you've got no way to know the submarine net where it's going to be exactly until you bump into it. And I think the only way to not bump into it is to be on the surface as you pass over. So we might have to do that on the way back. But yeah, it didn't seem to cause any damage, so that's fine. We just got a warning that we did actually bump into a subnet. Okay, there we go. We've got our first ship spotted. Destroyer. I don't think we want to waste torps on that. We're going to continue. I'll actually give another crew member to our spotting guy. Do I want to get somebody on the depth steers station? I don't know, the water's fairly calm, it's not too choppy or anything like that. I don't think that's really necessary. Sometimes if the water is especially choppy, it can be handy to assign an engineer to your station keeping, just so that you're not accidentally breaching. But that doesn't feel like it would be a good use of crew resources at the moment. Anyway, so we've got whatever that destroyer was over there. Probably like an ERF class. They seem to be fairly common. We don't have an identification on that, but yeah, chances are we won't actually be engaging it, we'll just be avoiding it. Because once we start firing torpedoes, oh boy, yes, things are going to wake up and start being very angry that we are there. But before we attack, we will briefly come to the surface to replenish our oxygen. One thing I did do before leaving port, which I think will be very helpful potentially, is stock up on the was it potassium something filters? Potassium absorbers. Ordinarily the ventilation system just kind of extends the freshness of your air by recirculating it a bit. It's not actually adding anything or scrubbing any CO2 or anything like that. And after a while it becomes basically completely ineffective. But with the scrubbers in place, you are actually taking some CO2 out, so you're greatly extending the amount of time you can stay underwater. But of course, putting the fan on does mean generating more noise, so it's not necessarily fantastic. So that is some kind of group of ships that's passing to the south. I must admit, I don't actually know what that channel is called between the Orkneys and Caithness. I'm very well familiar with, you know, the Minch, obviously, that being my neck of the woods, but yeah, I'm sure that's got some specific name and I don't know what it is. Anyway, let's keep creeping forwards. I could actually, like, we get some slow passive identification from, I might even put a crew member on, there we go. Work performance increases a little bit there. I get some passive identification from just whatever your crew's doing, but if you actively put someone on target solutions, it gets identified a lot quicker. Of course, you can manually identify things as well if you want to go down that route. You know, there is that option. One of the things they note in the patch notes that's going to remain kind of an experimental feature, at least for a while, which is something I haven't mentioned actually. The release date for this is beginning of August, the actual official 1.0, you know, coming out of early access release, which is what all of these release candidate versions have been about. But yeah, one of the features that they are going to be testing a little bit beyond release is kind of like a skipper mode. So you would start a new campaign and select this, and basically you'd be first person skipper for most of the time, although you'd still be able to see the cutaway view of the sub in order to just get an overview of what's happening, and you'd still be able to issue orders from this screen, but otherwise you would be entirely sort of first person skipper view. So yeah, is that cutaway is kind of new. I think they've changed it slightly. It's like one of your ballast tanks or something. I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, some things are a little bit different from the 2A. I've done more missions in the 2A than the 2D at this point. Probably the biggest external difference you will notice is obviously the extra girth, if I can put it that way. But there's also some changes around the conning tower as well. Anyway, yeah, it's an EF, E or an F class. I think it was one of those classes where basically the F was pretty much a continuation, a rerun of the E, but with some minor changes. I really hope we can find something a bit more juicy than a single destroyer, though, bearing in mind that our torpedoes are rather limited. We certainly can't afford to do a repeat of the real-life Royal Oak attack. Right, still just creeping forwards. I'm really hoping... I mean, it's telling me to go over here, so I don't know if we'll see maybe some stuff along the northern shore. Alarm! Okay, apparently... You'd think we'd still be, you know, kind of worried. I think we're actually going to manually keep ourselves still at alarm. Because we're in Scapa Flo in a U-boat. I think we have cause to be alarmed. Right, let's briefly dip up to the surface. You know what I mean. Let's briefly get up there, replenish our oxygen. We're going to put ourselves only on dead slow, just so we're not generating too much exhaust smoke, which does contribute to your visibility. So yeah, there we go. The air quality just really it shoots up super fast. I don't think we're gonna get any. Oh, a bit more sight range. Are you seeing anything while we're here? I don't think so. I wonder if I can see anything with Mark 1 eyeballs. Oh, literally our objective is the Royal Oak. Okay. So here we go. That's not Royal Oak. I guess they don't have an R-class battleship model in the game, so they've just used... I think literally they've got the KGVs and the Nelsons in-game, so they're using this as a stand-in for Royal Oak. Unless this is supposed to be some alternate timeline where there were 3 Nelsons and one of them was called Royal Oak. I don't know. I think the first explanation is a little more likely. So yeah, we're going to be sinking an R-class battleship that just so happens to look exactly like a Nelson class, but shh, don't worry about it. I could try and emulate the real life thing and creep forward on the surface. Oh, an escort carrier, what's that? That looks like Ark Royal. Is that Ark Royal? I think that might be. No, maybe it isn't. No, I don't think that is actually. I was looking at the butt end and thinking that looked a bit... But no, that's like an Indomitable? Maybe? Is that one of the Light Fleet carriers? Or a Colossus? I honestly don't know my World War II Royal Navy aircraft carriers. No, that's definitely not Ark Royal, so that's one of the others. Yeah, I don't know them well enough to just be able to glance at one and go, oh yeah, that's that one. So, yeah, it's something. Somebody in the comments will probably go, oh, Jedi, you dunce. It's one of those. You've got it in World of Warships, which I probably do. So I might actually get a chance to... the problem is it's kind of being shielded. But, yeah, if we sneak forwards a bit at low speed... we absolutely want to get both. So this is the advantage of the 2D, so you now have 2 positions that are able to provide targeting information. So yeah, if you're doing this manually, it'd probably be dead easy because it's just a stationary target, but we kind of want to... I want to be greedy. I want to try and get both the carrier and the warship because that would be worth a lot of points. So we're going to be very sneaky, just go up at slow speed. It's only 9 o'clock, we have lots of hours of darkness left. There don't appear to be any patrolling MTBs inside Scapa Flo itself, which I'm a little bit surprised by. I thought there would be, which would have been obviously a serious danger. But from perhaps this mission specifically, I've chosen not to do that. Now, do I have a clear line of fire at this carrier? It'll maybe tell me what class it is. I also have to be careful I don't ground myself. That would be very bad. That would be very bad indeed. Right, ship spotted. Oh, you are a moving ship. Okay, let us go down to periscope depth. At least I think that's a moving ship. It does cut down our... I don't know what that warning flag was. It does cut down our visibility, so we're going to have to creep a lot closer. But that's fine, we're still not spotted. Oxygen's all good. Yeah, okay, yes, that is a moving ship. We might need to drop down to the very shallow seabed underneath us. Let's ping the echo sounder. Be like 7 6 meters, something like that. Should be enough to... 5 meters. Should be enough to draw us underwater enough that we don't get spotted. So let's very briefly... I hope this means we don't lose the solution. Let's very briefly drop down to 10 meters. Should gently bump us onto the bottom. Just the periscope isn't visible. And I assume this is going to be another destroyer. No, that is an MTB. Well, having said... there don't seem to be any patrolling MTBs. There are, in fact, patrolling MTBs. So, you know, I was maybe just a tiny little bit wrong. Just a tiny little bit. Oh, yeah. Let's come to a stop. Rather than grating along the bottom, which seems to have slightly caused some torpedo damage. Oops, okay, well that's fine. We can have someone go and fix that. In fact, are you... Yes, you are fixing torpedo tubes. Okay, we've got plenty of repair parts. That's not a problem. It's just... it's a little bit of an oopsie because it's going to cost me time. But never mind. So I'll let those MTBs go by. They don't have any kind of hydro, I don't think. So it's purely visual spotting we need to worry about for those. You can see they're dipping in and out of contact as they go through our dead zones. I think I did upgrade the hydrophone on this. So it's not the stock hydrophone. Right, let's get back up to periscope depth. I should let us start crawling forwards again. Let me go to 2. Yeah, this is real shallow. It's the escape that's going to be the hairy part. The attack, I'm sure, won't be much of a problem, but trying to make the escape, that's going to be unpleasant. Right, we've lost our target lock, unfortunately, so or our target solution. So we're going to have to do that again. You'd think for a stationary ship, this is one of those things where it's purely a matter of the game mechanics. Having to recalculate for a stationary ship that you already had 100% solution for seems a little bit silly. But I guess the game doesn't really know how to deal with reacquiring a stationary contact and differentiating that from a non-stationary contact. See, it says Sink Royal Oak, but it's even calling it Nelson. You'd think they might have... I don't know. Maybe they've plans at some point to... oh, we are pointed the wrong way, aren't we? Let's get pointed the right way. We don't have any stern tubes on this thing. You'd think they would have at least renamed it, but maybe at some point they are going to re-add... like they'll add other ship models, or maybe modders will do it. I don't know. I don't know how easy it is to add stuff into the game in terms of modelling, like what programs. Because these days, for the dedicated, you know, it used to be you had to own expensive software, and the expensive software is still generally like the actual pro or semi-pro tools. Oh, why are we keep moving? Are we getting pushed around by the current? Is that what's going on? I didn't even know that was a mechanic. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, these days, you know, Blender is extremely well developed. So although it has a rather steep kind of barrier to actually getting good at it, like it requires it. My understanding is there's a lot of stuff about Blender that's not especially intuitive, that's just kind of built up that way over time, but it does remain fairly powerful. Yeah, we're definitely swinging around in the water when we're stationary. So I don't know if they actually are kind of trying to model tidal effects going on. But let's get somebody starting to. I don't. Okay. Oh no, that's him that's helping to calculate. I don't know, but he can't help calculate that one for some reason. I don't know. Apologies, by the way, if you hear any kind of banging or drilling noises or whatever in the background. My neighbour's, you know, I've mentioned this previously when he was, it was a good couple of months ago when he moved in and he was doing stuff, but his current latest project is building a shed. So, yeah, including still working on it at like 11 at night. So, yeah, I don't know how other neighbours feel about it. At least it wasn't doing anything super noisy. I think it was just like sawing or something, but it's not the most social thing to be doing. Right, we might even just try reversing a little bit. We're just trying to keep our orientation basically, because sitting at dead stop does not appear to be keeping us stationary. Make sure we are. In fact, this is. Oh, that's stop and charge the battery, is it? Yes, that's. Which we can't do underwater. Oh, we actually turned ourselves all the way around there as well, but that's fine. We're just doing a little dance underwater. These are not optimal angles for, but I want to get both of them, and honestly, it's illustrious. Okay. The Royal Oak is annoyingly placed to block both, but maybe if I was over on this side, we could actually get sort of shots there from there and there. So we want to kind of. I don't know. This is awkward. I don't want to also lose sight and then have that reset again, because that would be very annoying. But let's reposition before we fire, and hope that we don't get too many dud torpedoes, because we literally only have 5. No brakes. No brakes, only... we can actually make him have some coffee. I think we've got some coffee. Can we... Oh, no, we don't want first person. Have graph selected. Storage room. Okay, now he's doing something with an angle grinder, so that's also wonderful. Where's the other storage locker? I can't remember. It's not the toilet. Oh, it's there. There we go. So we can have him go and get some coffee. And there we go. That's actually increased his energy level. Okay. So you can go now back on the... Oh, that guy's taken over. Well, never mind. You can then get the crew members. Right. Plus not have lost... Okay, we have still got our contact. Okay. Right, so... sort of want to be about here, maybe? Okay, so you are... going to want to be... We're going to want to give that guy as much help as possible to... we'll take a crew member off there. So let's first fire torpedoes at the slightly further away target. They've changed this, by the way. They've changed the... It used to be red. I don't know if this is just like a colour blindness accessibility thing, because, you know, somebody with colour blindness might not necessarily be able to tell the difference between a red torpedo and a grey torpedo. So they've replaced it with a big tick, but it still takes my brain a moment to go, oh yeah, no, that is supposed to be like that. So No, that would intersect the... so let's move forwards a little bit. So we've got a clear line of sight. That angle grinder is really very noisy. I hope you guys can't hear that. Right, if we could bag... Yeah, there we go. So we'll put, say, 2 torpedoes out. On the CV, impact distance. I don't know if it thinks that's going to be a particular problem. Let's... Dispersion and... say 2.5 meters depth. It's a CV. It's going to have fairly deep keel. So, okay. Torpedoes 1 and 2 away. And you are going to need to get torps loaded and warmed ASAP. But we can get the 3rd torpedo. Actually, yeah, we're able to use the impact pistols for all of these. This is why I changed, because from this angle it would have had to be the magnetic pistols, and the magnetic pistols are a little bit less reliable. Although I think they're a little improved in their reliability compared to when you start the game, because there are some research projects you can do to get more advanced torpedoes going. That's what this symbol is here. We have the possibility of doing a research project, but because they now cost reputation points, you used to be able to just get really far ahead with tech, regardless of the time penalty for being ahead of time, because all you needed was crew members. But now you actually have to think carefully about whether you're going to use your rep points for like promoting crew or ship upgrades or doing research missions and things. So yeah, there's more pressure on your rep points. You have to think carefully about how you're actually going to use them. Right, how are we doing with the torpedo loading, fellas? We've got... Okay, this is just one being loaded. I mean, this is at max possible speed. So... yeah, hopefully the Royal Oak doesn't start the Royal Oak in air quotes. Oh, they have actually given it the flag of Royal Oak. It's just... It's a bit confusing. Royal Oak, Battleship Nelson. Okay. Yeah, so... It's just... I don't know. It's a bit silly. But one torpedo won't do it, I don't think. We're going to need more, so... how are we doing? Loading the tube, so this is the last 2 torpedoes loaded, and we'll then want them to be warmed up before we fire. But things are about to get spicy, so we might actually start swinging ourselves around. I really hope these 2 torpedoes are enough for the carrier, because I want to save the last 2 for the battleship, because that's our primary objective. And after that, we're going to be basically defenseless apart from our 20mm deck gun. I don't fancy taking on a destroyer with that, however. So it looks like we are going to be hitting at not too dissimilar a time. But I guess we'll see. It'll hit the Royal Oak a little bit first. So there we go. Decent damage, but that's going to piss off literally everybody. How are we doing with torpedo loading? Okay, so you took damage. Looks like we've done... Oh, look at that glow. Looks like we've done much worse to the... Oh, yes, yes. No, this is sinking. This is absolutely sinking. So you've got fire. It's gonna not sink very far, but it is sinking. But you can tell the solid green has disappeared, and so yeah, that's just now going under completely. I don't think this is moving. This is going to require... no, that's going to be... yeah, that's going to be traffic. So that was Pegasus, apparently. And... oh, the actual flooding is doing enough to take down the Nelson. It looks like that one torpedo may have been enough. We may end up with having a torpedo or two to spare. No, I think we're going to need at least another torpedo there. Right, okay, let's send off another torpedo. We don't probably have a lot of time before destroyers and more MTBs and things come after us, so torpedo away. And that leaves us with one torpedo left. I kind of want to make sure it's definitely sunk. So we are going to... we're going to use another one of our precious few torps. It should do the trick. That's a very neat line of lifeboats. We've got a nice little chevron. Would that be a chevron? I don't know. A nice little formation there. Let's see if... ah, no! Torpedo was a dud! I don't want torpedo was a dud. God damn it, right? This last torpedo better do the business. Or else it's going to be mission failed. Because we ain't got nothing else. That's why being in a Type 7 would have been... I mean, it would have had... yeah, this is a very star shells. It would have had worse visibility overall, but yeah, it would have not had quite the issues. Oh, I really wish this Nelson would go down. If it had a fire on board, that would be enough to sink it. As you can see with that that carrier, the Pegasus. But yeah, it's annoyingly stable. If we had enough time to just hang around for hours and hours, it might go down. I should probably be looking in this view if I'm going to... right. Oh, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, please work, torpedo. You are the little torpedo that could. I literally have my fingers crossed. No! No! Why? Why? Bugger? Bugger. Well, sinking the carrier has come at the cost of not sinking the primary target. That's a problem. That's kind of a big problem. Yes, the crew is stressed. I'm stressed. Those last two torpedoes had to be duds. I waited for them to be properly warmed and everything. Did it make a difference? No. I'm going to have words with the... whatever the German equivalent of U-148 is. Because they've cost me this mission. Are you going to sink by yourself? I don't think it is. I think we have failed the attack on Scapa Flo. I'm not seeing any... like, it remains buoyant, it's heavily damaged, but... there's not a lot I can do. Well, there's nothing I can do at this point. Except literally just get out of here. It's not like I can... this one I'll just surface and send some crew on board to scuttle it manually. Versus the entire pissed off crew of a Royal Navy battleship. That will be fine. Yeah, I'm sure any destroyers or whatever will definitely not have a problem with me doing that. Oh, sink! Come on, sink! I'm willing you with my mind powers that I definitely have. But I don't think it's working. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be really cheesily possible for me to like sail all the way to Helgoland, get more torpedoes, sail all the way back, which is probably going to be like better part of a week, and come and finish it off. I don't know. The game might let me do that. It might not. I guess there's one way to find out, but first off we have to get out of here alive. So let's go a little bit deeper. 9 meters. Can we manage 9 meters? I'm not sure if we can, but we'll give it a go. We're also going to want to go to Silent Run, I think. So we'll turn off the gyro compass, turn off those, put ourselves on slow forwards. We're kind of relying on you now, Echo Sounder, not Echo Sounder, Hydrophone guy. And I'll put an extra crew member on the Chief Engineer just to eke out our battery capacity a bit. Oxygen, air is fine. We've got a couple of hours. We can also, of course, turn on the fan, but we don't need to do that just yet. But yeah, new communications. That's going to be enemy comms. Fast attack craft. They're not dropping, like, they have no idea where we are, which is fantastic. They are not dropping depth charges or anything like that. So it looks like we've at least gotten away with our attack. But it's going to be a bit dicey going over the nets. At the very least we'll have to be at periscope depth, if not like on the surface, to go over the nets for a very brief period. The very brief period might be enough. They're not firing off any more star shells though, which is good. How are we doing? Are we scraping bottom? Yeah, I'm an adult. I have I'm a very, you know, I just, yeah, okay, I'm not even going to pretend I'm a mature person when I say things like scraping bottom and then snicker to myself. Let's not pretend. Let's not pretend I don't have the sensibilities of a 5-year-old. What is that? That's going to be an MTB. Which hasn't seen me. So this is why we are very much trying to be below the control depth. Well, actually, you're on damage control at the moment. Let's get you on the steering station. Just because it will make bobbing up and then under when we go there a lot quicker. Ooh. So that's a destroyer. How close are you getting, destroyer? We are getting some... Are we just having like a tiny bit of the scope because the vision bubble keeps expanding and contracting, so there must be some tiny part of the periscope that's able to reach the surface at like maximum extension. It's definitely not reliable. We could go up a little bit higher and it would be then slightly more reliable, but on the other hand that might get us spotted. We don't want to be spotted. Spotted would be very bad. Right, so the place is unsurprisingly kind of buzzing. But so far so good. Apart from the utter lack of managing to complete our primary objective. But we might actually be able to choose it. We might actually be able to go to a port, get more torpedoes, come back, have another go. Ooh, you're getting very close. Please don't see us. Don't happen to look out over the side. Oh, jeez. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Nobody make any stray noises, please. Right, up to periscope depth proper, which is now at 3 meters. That gives us more stable sight line. We can just about see the burning wreck of the carrier in the background. Oh, those two duds! Those two duds! Oh! So, just, I don't, like, you can't do anything about that. It's roll of the dice. This is the challenge of doing this in a small submarine, is just having so few torpedoes. I should maybe have prioritised making sure the battleship was sunk before I sent out any extra torpedoes. But yeah, right, we're going to briefly pop to the surface so we don't ram the subnets. Actually, we might be able to get away with decks awash rather than fully surfaced. That might pull us up far enough. You are supposed to be on the depth keeping. Why aren't you on the depth keeping? So let's risk a little bit of exhaust smoke and a dash over the line. This does not look like decks awash. This looks like fully on the surface, which is not what I asked for. I want to try and keep as low a profile as possible. No, I don't... I shouldn't really have... Oh, there we go, they're going... Oh, right, we've bumped the anti-subnet, but that's fine. That means we're past it. We can actually go back down to periscope depth if anyone spots us. So, yes, I know we bumped the anti-subnet. It's fine. Didn't do any damage. Right, now we're going to go all the way to Helgoland and see if we can try again. See if the game will let us choose this mission. Because, frankly, I'm not satisfied. We've got a job left undone. It'll be kind of funny if the game is just like, yeah, the wreck is just going to get left there for like a week. They're not going to try and refloat it or repair it or anything. It's just going to sit there, be fine. Right, they're not actually coming out of Scapa Flo. So, whoa, yes they are, yes they are. What's our depth? It's the problem sometimes with using the time compression features is you could be fine and then all of a sudden just not 5 meters. Okay, so yeah, we still don't have a lot of wiggle room. Yeah, let's just get out of here. Let's just go. Okay, so this is one of the random events that you can have happen. Sometimes you get radio messages relating to the crew, so we can actually jump in and tell the crew member in particular.
Der BDU hat eine Nachricht für Sie, mein Freund. Ihre Schwester hat gerade ein...
I don't know if this is indicative of the kind of real-life radio traffic. It seems a little, I don't know, trivial, but on the other hand, maybe it was done for reasons of morale. The other time I had a message was somebody's brother got promoted in the Wehrmacht or something like that, so... Yeah, maybe this is an example of the kind of actual radio traffic that would have been sent. as opposed to just the standard stuff. Also, I should get my electric compressor going. So here we are, Heligoland, which is this tiny little scrap of an island in the North Sea. One of the early upgrades you can do actually is to spend some of your rep points to get the sub pens enclosed. You can't get any missions here, but you can basically get like full resupply. So it's going to take just as long. But yeah, you can also, if you need more crew members, you can get that here or hand over prisoners or whatever. So yeah, let's resupply and go back and have another go, because it's starting to seem like that's a thing that we can do. Okay, so we actually do have improved pistols. And we've also got T3 torpedoes, which are the newer ones as well. So we'll try and get the T3s for preference, but T1s with the improved pistols as well. Yeah. Let's go for those. Hopefully we won't have a repeat of what was happening previously, but this is going to be almost 2 days loading time. It's not going to be quick. It does occur to me that I could have radioed for an at-sea replenishment, but that takes just as long and you are sat vulnerable on the surface. So if you're in the mid-Atlantic, for example, that would make sense, but I think the amount of time it takes where we would have been sat on the surface in the North Sea, it would have been a much more vulnerable position. So I think even if I had that thought, I think coming to Heligoland was still the right plan. Anyway, back out to sea we go, and we're going to try this again, which is very cheesy and very video gamey, but this is a video game, so yeah, we are going to cheese it because I want to complete this mission. Okay, so problem. Maybe I can't cheese it because there's no ship. It's vanished. We'll have a little hunt around. It's possible that there's been some physics wonkery stuff going on, that the wreck has kind of floated elsewhere. That does happen sometimes, or at least it's happened in past versions. I don't know if that's still a thing. But yeah, we'll have a little look around within Scapa Flo, see if we can find it. And if we can't, then we're just going to have to go home and admit defeat, that we failed, even though we sank an aircraft carrier. That wasn't the mission. So, yeah, this might be a failure after all. It might be uncheesable. Unfortunately, it looks like I'm out of luck. I've basically done a circuit of the entirety of Scapa Flo. Either it sunk in the meantime, but because I wasn't there to see it and report it, it doesn't count, or else the developers have indeed accounted for people trying to cheese it, and it just kind of despawns after the player gets too far away, if it hasn't been sunk already. So I'm just going to have to go back to port and tell them that I have failed horribly in my mission. But I am considering at least doing one last little risky thing, in that we have this destroyer here. It's not going to be worth a whole lot of points, but we could sink that. It's going to be worth something. It'll be a consolation prize. It's not quite a battleship, but it's something. So let's get some torpedoes out on that. That's going to be, say, 1.5, because it's a destroyer. 15 meters dispersion is fine. Let's do it. And then accelerate, because those MTBs are going to be all over our ass at that point. So yeah, let's go as fast as we can. We are about halfway there on battery. We'll sink a little bit deeper. Let's go to 8 meters. Hopefully that will make us harder to spot. We are on blue lighting at the moment, not silent running, that's fine. I have run the ventilators a bit in the meantime. The filters do deplete really quickly though. We had a full stack in there and then it almost used all of them up, and I've then put almost another full stack in there, so yeah, you might think, oh, that's loads, and it isn't. It really isn't. So yeah, you have to use those kind of judiciously. Right, this destroyer, provided these torps aren't duds, heck, even one should do it. It really is just kind of a waste, but I want to sink something while I'm here, so yeah, let's give it a go. Let's see if we can spot the torpedoes coming in from the side, which we should be able to once they appear, which is going to be very shortly. There we go. Boom, and there's torpedo number 2, which is definitely going to finish it off. Kaboom. So that's going to be one dead destroyer. And that's going to get a whole lot of motor torpedo boots on our boat, or possibly torpedo boats on our boot. I have no idea what I was trying to say there, but anyway, let's get out of here. So here we are, slinking back home with our tail between our legs. We sank 2 warships. They just weren't the one we were sent out to sink. It's kind of my fault for not prioritizing my torpedoes, making sure that the battleship was sunk first, but the extreme bad luck of those last 2 torpedoes both being duds, there's not a lot one can do about that. So I've not actually had this happen before. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but we're going to go to the leading officer and see if we can report our failure, or if it's just going to make us like cancel the mission. I have to ask for a different assignment, so we lose a ret point. I guess this is us basically saying we failed. I don't know if that means the mission will pop up again at some point, but yeah, I guess we'll take one of the happy time missions. So that's us, basically, that's our penalty. We're going to lose our reputation point for that. Mission failed. Yeah. I was rubbish, sadly, and we did make some points off of it, but we lost a whole reputation point, so oopsie. Oh well, I guess this is what happens if you fail. This is my tutorial, you guys. This is what happens when you fail a mission. That's what this entire video was about secretly. Yeah, let's just go with that. Okay, anyway, so hopefully you have enjoyed this regardless. And if you have, you can do all the usual things down underneath the video. And of course, as always, stay tuned for more.